All right, good morning, everybody. It is 10 a.m. We are going to get started. Thank you for joining us as we prepare for week 2 of the 2021 MEAC Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Karen Carty, the Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as today's moderator for today's conference. I'd like to remind our media members that to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature, and when acknowledged, please state your name and indicate the media outlet that you are representing. Before we get to our head coaches, though, we will hear from Mr. Jeff Cunningham, the MEAC's Director of Media Relations, who will provide us with this week's MEAC's notes. Jeff's.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning, everybody. Week 1 of the 2021 MEAC football season saw Delaware State break into the win column, defeating Bowie State 32-24 behind 3 rushing touchdowns and 92 yards on the ground from Sybion Wilkerson. South Carolina State's Kendrell Flowers also rushed for 3 touchdowns in the Bulldogs' 42-41 loss to Alabama A&M. In other football action this past weekend, Howard fell 38-14 to number 22 Richmond. Norfolk State lost 49-10 to Toledo, and Morgan State lost to Towson 31-0. All 6 MEAC football programs are in action this weekend, with Delaware State once again at home. The Hornets will play host to Georgetown, looking to open the season 2-0, and that game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. In volleyball action this past weekend, Delaware State is 5-1 after picking up a pair of wins this past weekend, while Coppin State also won 2 matches over the past weekend. Maryland Eastern Shore picked up a win over the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and North Carolina Central and Norfolk State both won their first matches of the season, the Eagles against Alabama A&M and the Spartans against American. The 2021 MEAC cross-country season opened this past weekend, with the Morgan State men taking the team title at the Towson Invitational, and Howard University's Ayade Adebiyi breaking the school record in the 5,000 meters at the Mount 5K duels hosted by Mount St. Mary's. For more information on the MEAC 16 sponsored sports, visit our website at meacsports.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MEAC Sports, and on YouTube by searching MEAC Digital Network. Karen?
All right, Jeff, thank you for those updates. So we will get things started with our head coaches. We will now talk to Larry Scott of Howard. Coach Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well this morning, Coach. Good to see you.
Yeah.
The Bison are coming off a tough loss to Richmond this past weekend. What are your overall takeaways from the game?
I tell you what, even in defeat, we talked to our team about we never lose, we learn. So it was a great opportunity for us to go play a ranked FCS opponent, first game out of the chute, and to just see our young football team, with the bottom third of our rosters, all freshmen and sophomores, for the first time play football. You got some guys who went out there and it was the first time they actually played in the game in over a year and a half, almost 2 years. So to have those young guys go out, feel what that feels like again against a quality opponent was very valuable for us. And we learned a lot and had a lot of great takeaways from that to learn and build off of. We had some success in certain situations that we can build upon and look at. And then we had some things where, we can show teachable moments where if we were in the right place doing the right things, those type of things wouldn't happen. So a lot for us to learn and grow from. We really believe that we're off to a start that can help impact our young football team as we continue to build through the weeks.
Awesome. So great to hear that. Running back Jarrett Hunter had 12 carries for 93 yards rushing against the Spiders. Talk about his play and how he fit into your game plan on Saturday.
Jarrett's kind of a do-it-all guy. He's really got good hands out of the backfield. Got some really good wiggle and make you miss, good vision. He can run for power and vision. So he's a really good all-purpose back. And again, he's another young player that's truly a freshman. We played a little bit in the spring when we had our 2 spring games, but he's a quiet kid, works hard, do it all type of back. that we really, really happy that we have here, and continue to build with a young player that we can build some things around.
Awesome. You have a really big task this weekend, taking on Maryland. What are some keys to pulling off a win in that game?
I think to not even speak of it being about Maryland, our biggest challenge and our biggest opponent is us, because we're still in such the stage of educating and teaching our young people about the process of winning, which started yesterday, started last night in practice. And our biggest challenge and our biggest opponent from week to week is just making it about us, not making it about who's next on the schedule and who's next. It's just another game. In the way that we look at it, but what do we need to fix? What do we need to address within our team, our organization? What do we need to work on to make ourselves better? So the challenge is, obviously, we know Maryland's a challenge for us. And everybody in the world knows that that's a challenge for us. But for us, we're presenting the challenge to ourselves as the biggest challenge. It's all about us. How do we improve? How do we do the things on a weekly basis to build week to week, and then have an opportunity to go do what we all love to do on game day, which is have fun and play the game. So that's what it's all about for us this week.
Awesome. Definitely a good outlook. Those are all my questions. We have a question from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. When you look at your body of work, we see Power 5, big time programs, if you will, and now you're on the HBCU side. When you experience both sides, what does it look like so far, and what do you see?
I'll tell you what, man, football is football. And I think a lot of times people get into this characterization, they want to put different programs and players in boxes. I've seen just as many good players watching film than I've seen at any of those levels. I saw some really good players this week, and when you turn on tape and you watch other HBCU schools around the country, you see really good players. I mean, in a lot of instances, I saw a lot of great players that we watched at Delaware State, that I've watched at Norfolk, that were better athletes and have more talent than the Richmond team that's highly ranked in FCS that we just watched. So at the end of the day, football is football. We all put our pads on the same way. There's only so many ways you can coach cover two. There's only so many ways you can coach quarters. There's only so many ways you can coach the power play. At the end of the day, it's about people. It's about moving people, about motivating and leading culture and leading programs, and steering young people in the direction to go find success both on and off the field. So at the end of the day, football is football, whether that's at Jones Junior High or at University of Alabama.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Do we have any other questions for Coach Scott? Oh, yes, we do. Mr. Perry Daniels.
Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning.
Your running back seemed to have a little success in your running game. However, would you talk about the holes that were created by your offensive line and your thoughts regarding their progress?
Oh, man, I tell you, it's probably the group that is making the biggest strides on our football team. You talk about a group that only has one senior, and then we have a sophomore, and two freshmen. So we're very young on the offensive line. But they've done a really good job of helping us to develop an identity, which one of our identities in our run game is everybody wants to be tough and all of those type of things. But, with our guys, we talk about just the deliberate everyday progress towards getting better. And when you have young guys like that have wrapped their mind around the idea of how toughness is truly built on a daily basis, just not physical toughness, but mental toughness and all of those type of things, I think you got a chance of building something really special. So we love the young foundation that we're building that around, and these young kids that wrap their arms around that, they're embracing that, and they did a really good job. Again, like I said, against probably one of the most quality fronts overall, top to bottom, that they're going to see on our schedule. That's the first one they get out of the chute, and did a really good job. We were able to rush the ball for over 100 yards against a pretty good defense. So it just helps them to continue to build some confidence that will continue to build through the year for us.
Thank you, Coach. Any more questions for Coach Scott? All right, Coach Scott, thank you again. Good luck this weekend against Maryland. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
No problem. The Bison will travel to College Park, Maryland this Saturday for a 7:30 p.m. contest against the Maryland Terrapins. The game will be shown live on the Big Ten Network. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
See ya. All right, up next, we have Trey Oliver, North Carolina Central. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How you all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
All is well.
Good to hear that. All right, Coach. Y'all were off this week after that great old victory against Alcorn State in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Did any hype from that game carry over into this last week's practices?
Well, I think our guys were excited this week, and obviously had a sense of confidence. But again, we don't let them get too excited. Not too high, not too low. So I think after watching the film, they saw it was so much more that we need to work on, and we left a lot of plays out there. So we enjoyed it on Sunday on the way back, but we had to get to work and get some stuff corrected.
Awesome. And what did you concentrate mostly on this week during practice?
Technique and fundamentals. Defensively, we spent a lot of time with run fits, and offense, still working on timing and just execution.
Awesome. And then tell us about this week's upcoming matchup at Marshall. What type of game should we expect?
Ooh, that's a good football team. They took Navy behind the shed, but they're a very physical football team, well-coached team. Their quarterback is probably the best we'll see this year. And they have great skill players on offense, and defensively, they're physical as well also. So we're going to focus on North Carolina Central and try to control what we control and just work to get better week by week.
Sounds like a solid plan, Coach. Those are all my questions. Does anyone have any questions for Coach Oliver? All right, and don't forget, people, to mention your name and your affiliation so the coaches can know what entities you're with. Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
Good morning, Coach Oliver. It's James Hill with BNC Sports.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Can you talk about your ball club this year in your approach? We continue to go through the pandemic, and it looks like we're trying to run out on the other side of it, the new normal, so to speak. But what has it been like from a coaching perspective, coaching football games and working with student athletes, and everybody wants to stay safe?
Right. The guys are obviously extremely excited to be back out and playing. And as a staff and administration, our number one job is to try to keep them safe. The young men have done an outstanding job of staying safe, and we haven't had any positive tests, so knock on wood. But I think that might be the worst part of the week, waiting for those test results to get back. But you just hope and pray. I think we only had about 3 guys that traveled with us this past week that were not vaccinated. So, the bulk of our team is. We feel good about that. And, you just hope and pray, play day by day. And you see all these college football games this past weekend, man, and there's 70, 80,000 people in the stands. And I just, it's kind of scary because you don't know what's going to happen a month from now.
Next stop, the Thundering Herd. Talk about going in there and looking for a W.
Well, like I said, they are a very good ball club. They've improved since 2020. I think it starts with the quarterback play, and we had to figure out a way to slow him down a little bit and stop the run and slow the run game down. But they are an outstanding ball club. I think they should be a top 25 team. But we have to work to get better and play one play at a time. Again, if something good happens, keep playing. If something bad happens, keep playing. We can't go in there. They make a big play and, we get rattled. So just set that thermostat on 70 and let it ride.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Up next, Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
What's happening, Ty?
I'm good. Ty Miller from the Power News Radio Network and Black College Football Weekly. I want to ask you about Marshall. When you look at the tape against Navy, The midshipmen, they could not block that defensive front. What are your thoughts on the defense that you saw from Marshall?
Long, athletic, and can run. And they were in the backfield all day long. And even Navy running their option game didn't even slow them down from attacking. So they attack a lot up front, and they get after the quarterback. So we're going to have to do a pretty good job of, protecting Pee Wee and keeping him upright. And I think our offensive line did a decent job of that last week. Last time we played, I don't think we gave up any sacks. So, but we'll have our hands full. We'll have a test this week.
It's been long said that a lot of teams make their biggest jump between weeks 1 and week 2. So what is the biggest improvement that you're looking to see this week when your team takes on the Thundering Herd?
Ooh. First of all, we need to be a little more disciplined. We can't play a team like this and have 14 penalties like we did against Alcorn. That was heartbreaking, to have 14 penalties and, playing good teams. You cannot do that. So first and foremost, we have to clean that up, the penalties. Obviously, our run fits. We can't let them, have that two-headed monster. So we have to try to make them one-dimensional. Slow them down the run game and try to muddy up some of the reads for the quarterback and don't let them pick us apart.
Hey, Coach, I've heard you mention run fits a couple of times. So from a layman's standpoint, for those who don't know what run fits mean, could you explain that for us?
I'm so sorry. Thank you. Who's ever responsible for the A gap in between the center and the guard, they have the A gap. And whoever has the B gap, whether it be a lineman, a down lineman, or a linebacker, they have the B gap, which is between the guard and the tackle. And, same thing for the C gap, whether it be a defensive end or a linebacker. So everybody's responsible for one gap, and sometimes guys will jump out of a gap to try to make a play, or they'll get a bad read and not hit their gap. So when I say we have to improve our run fits, everybody has to stay in their gap. And so Marshall does a good job of getting you out of your gap and displacing you.
So you're basically talking assignment football. That's what you guys have to play, basically.
That's it, assignment football. First of all, knowing where to go. And I thought we did a good job with that, but just being eye disciplined, reading my key, and making sure I go where my key takes me. Now, 2 big runs they hit on us. That was on myself and the defensive coordinator, Coach Navarro. Sometimes you just got to let your players play. And I think we did a little too much with 2 different calls, trying to stop something else. And we should just let the guys play, and they'll play their way out of it. But run fits is a big thing that we need to improve on this week.
Coach, thanks a lot and good luck this week.
Thanks, Todd.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Coach Oliver? All right, Coach Oliver, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck this weekend against Marshall.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a good afternoon.
Thank you as well.
Happy Labor Day.
Same to you. The Eagles travel to Huntington, West Virginia for a 6:30 p.m. contest against the Thundering Herd of Marshall on Saturday. The game will be broadcast live on ESPN+. All right, up next we have Coach Rod Milstead of Delaware State. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
Good. Coach, the Hornets opened up their season with a 32-24 victory over Bowie State. What were the keys to DSU securing that win?
Well, the biggest thing we wanted to do, we wanted to come out and play sound football, mistake-free football. Our biggest thing is we want to run the rock and control the clock. That's who we are. And I felt that we did a fairly decent job in the first half. Our defense played really well. Anytime you can create, 6 turnovers it's a good day for your ball club, and get a interception for, a pick 6. That's even better to help the offense out. So all in all, I thought we had a good day. There's a lot of things that we have to fix. There's some things that we have to correct. It wasn't the best day after watching the film, but I'd rather learn from a W than learn from an L.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that, Coach. Which players impressed you the most during the game?
I want to say our defensive line got after it. Their quarterback, the quarterback from Bowie is very, very good. I mean, if you give him time to sit back in that pocket, he can really pick you apart. And it was evident why they were the CIAA champs the past 2 years. They are a very good football team. And I knew that coming into it. Our guys understood the task at hand. They're not your average Division II football program. You look at that roster, it's loaded with Division I bounce back guys. And when they showed up, they looked the part, they played the part. We were very, very fortunate to come out with the win.
Awesome. And then this weekend you host Georgetown. What does the game film tell you about the Hoyas?
Well, they haven't played. They haven't played since 2019. So that's the only film that we have on them. They have our spring film, of course, and I'm quite sure they have the film from Saturday. So they have a lot to look at, recent film. We're going to go out and focus in on what Delaware State does best and adjust when needed. When they get here, we have an idea of who they are and what they're planning on doing. Their coaching staff is the same. So we're hoping and really praying that they're going to continue on where they left off in 2019. But if not, if something new, it may take us a play or two. We'll adjust and we'll be prepared for that as well.
Awesome. Sounds good, Coach. Do we have any questions for Coach Milstead? Okay, Mr. Hill.
Hey, good morning, Coach. It's James Hill with BNC Sports. I hope you and the family and Delaware State Nation are well. Can you just talk a little bit about your 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and Hornets special teams?
Well, offensively, if I had to grade out our offensive line, I grade them out as a C. I thought that there was a lot of things that we could have done better of really dominating the line. But at times, for whatever reasons, we had 4 guys doing the right thing and 1 guy doing his own thing. So it was that's something I take personally. Of course, I'm an offensive line guy, so they got an earful yesterday. They will be better this week. I will guarantee that. Quarterback play, I gave him probably a B-. There were some things that he left off the table. He left on the table. He hasn't played since 2019. Although he started the spring off against Howard, he got hurt in the second quarter and he hasn't played a game. We had someone else come in and finish out the rest of the spring season. So I think Tyleek is growing, has a strong arm, but there are some things that he could improve. I felt that as a coaching staff, we got to do a better job of getting our receivers the ball. We were too one-dimensional when it comes to offense in terms of actually running the ball a lot, but that was what was keeping us in the game, and we were having problems on the outside with our receivers getting them the ball. Defensively, I thought our D-line played well, linebacker play. I give our D-line a B. I give our linebackers an A, and defensive backs probably a B as well. They played really, really hard. They were on the field for 28 minutes of the football game. And they were the reason why we actually stayed in the game. We have to get better offensively, and that's the one thing that we're going to work on this game. But our defense is really our focal point and the part of our program that allows us the opportunity to win. Special teams, I thought we did well on all aspects of special teams except PAT, field goal. We had a fumble snap the first time. The second time, it just wasn't good. We missed it. And we just had a problem all day. If it wasn't the hold, it was the kick. So we got to work on that and get that corrected. PATs are supposed to be automatic, and that's in every division. And for us, we struggled on the first week out. So we're going to make some adjustments there, and hopefully all 3 phases will be on point come Saturday.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck versus the Hoyas.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions for Coach Milstead? Mr. Miller, what you got?
Hey, Coach Milstead, good morning to you. Ty Miller
Good
from
morning.
Power News Radio Network and Black College Football Weekly. 6 turnovers in the game against Bowie State. So in terms of that being a key stat, how key will that be going forward as you try to create more turnovers to help your defense, to help your offense?
Well, if our defense can continue to play the way they did, and don't get me wrong, I still feel that although our defense plays solid football, I'm a stats guy, so 345 yards is still too much. We want to keep an opponent under 200, and that was still too much. But to create the 6 turnovers, 4 picks, 2 fumble recoveries, and then a pick 6, that really helps out a lot. So they're just picking up from where they left off in the spring. They were doing the exact same things in the spring. They're flying around and really kind of controlling the tempo of the game. When we need a big play, they make it. And so that's been really, really helping us out a lot. But we still got a long ways to go. That was week 1, and we have 10 more contests left.
Coach, it's week 1 for Georgetown. As you mentioned, they haven't played since 2019. So, those guys are itching to hit somebody this week. So how key will it be for your team to match that intensity that they had the first game against Bowie State, like Georgetown will have against your team?
Well, we had a sellout crowd against Bowie. It was the biggest crowd since 2007 and the biggest crowd since I've been the head coach here. I really believe that's going to be the way things are going to be at home. And that's the one thing that I've prided our team in, is that this year we got to take care of home, okay? And then we got to steal some on the road, and we'll be successful. So it's important to us to play well at home, and the Hoyas are coming into the Hornets' nest. It's a different place when you play here in Dover. You don't know what the weather's going to be. It could be rain, it could be snow, it could be hot, so we're excited about them coming up, and we're going to see what they can do about that Hornets thing.
And finally, Coach, you mentioned that you don't know much about this team. So what kind of game plan do you put forth? Is it your basic game plan that you would put forth any weekend?
Well, we're going to focus in on what we do well, okay, and improving on what Delaware State football is. If we play sound football, regardless of what they do, of course they're going to do some new stuff that they haven't put on film yet, or they didn't do in 2019. Of course, they want to improve from where they were then, but they can only have 11 guys on the field at one time, and we can only have 11. If we focus in on what we do well, everything else will take care of itself.
Okay, Coach, thank you and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any more questions for Coach Milstead? All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time today. Good luck this weekend, and I hope all goes well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. The Hornets play host to Georgetown this weekend on Saturday at 2 p.m. at Alumni Stadium in Dover. That game can be seen live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. All right, let's see if Coach Odoms is here with us. Is Coach Odoms here yet? Not seeing Coach Odoms, but Coach Pugh is here. Coach Pugh, how you doing? Oh, you're on mute.
If I unmute myself, you might be able to hear me, huh?
Yes, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Well, Coach, great game this weekend. Was able to watch most of it. Definitely an offensive game with 83 total points scored, over 1,000 yards of total offense. Unfortunately, the Bulldogs were on the short end of the stick, falling 42-41 to Alabama A&M. Please tell us about this game.
Well, you're right. It was, I'm sure, a fun game for the people in the stands. 8 lead changes and a whole lot of offense. Not much defense though, and in a situation like this, that's not quite acceptable. So we got our work cut out for us. We play at Clemson Saturday, and we need to make a lot of improvement in a short period of time.
Understandable. You had 3 players rush for over 70 yards, Corey Fields with 89, Kendrell Flowers with 80, and then Alex James with 73. Will the running game be your forte this season?
I don't know. We still so early. Looks like it ought to be. We've kind of broken up in the receiver core. So we've got a couple of injuries that might drive us back toward more of a run game style kind of attack. But we like to mix it up. It's kind of let's see what we actually can go out and execute at this point. It's so early in the year that we hadn't really established our identity. It's one thing to want to be something. It's another thing to actually be able to go out and do it. So I'm still trying to figure out what we can do. And, as we get farther along in the season, maybe, we get it figured out.
Gotcha. Like you mentioned, you play Clemson this weekend, and it probably won't get any easier. They're the number 3 team in the nation. Give us a preview of that big matchup.
Well, we played there on Saturday. It's a 5 o'clock start. We've played there a time or 2 before, and it hadn't gone all that great. So, let's see if we can go out. Let's go and then see if we can be better this time. They're coming off of a tough loss themselves. It's almost scary to watch the tape of them in Georgia with the kind of specimens they are running around, all over the place. It's a knockdown, drag out, kind of low scoring, affair. Hopefully we can get in there and continue to, play well on, I guess maybe on all sides of the ball, what we really need to be. But we've got to go out and actually be able to match up with their defense, our offense against their defense in a way that we can have some success that way. That'll be kind of the, main emphasis for us. And then, at the point when we get up against their high-powered offense, we'll need to we continue to need to play well on defense. So we got our work cut out for us. It's a tough matchup. You're talking about some of the more high shelf style kind of athletic kinds of acquisitions that they've made, over time. Maybe the top recruiting school in our area. And, it gives us an opportunity to, really show that our young developmental guys, can play with some of their high level 5 stars.
Awesome. Sounds good, Coach. Those are all the questions I have this morning. Any media members have questions for Coach Pugh? All right, Mr. Miller.
Hey, Coach Pugh, good morning to you.
Hey, Ty, how are you?
I'm good. I know it's a tough game when you take on Clemson this week, but you saw the tape against Georgia. Were there any things that gave you hope that you can at least compete with these guys at least for a quarter or two?
There's always things there, Ty, that you get, a little bit of a feel that you can actually go out and do against these kinds of guys. And this week's not much different. But, it's them against their last couple games. They played Georgia Saturday. And then their last game of 2020 was Ohio State. You got to see the kind of specimens that run around out there on those 4 teams that we just mentioned. So, it's a little bit of a shot in the dark as to whether you can do to them what you see other people doing to them. But it'll be interesting.
Coach, Georgia did make that quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, uncomfortable. So did you see anything that your team could possibly do uncomfortable?
Yeah, there's some schemes that you see that you can try to emulate, when you're looking at the 2 games. But there's some things that some of their guys can do that that I don't know if our guys can do. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do. I tell you what, though, we are a good little young football team at this point, and our guys are excited and enthusiastic about going in there and playing. It's I guess maybe a goal of all of ours that we'll get a chance to play in this kind of setting. and it's either for them, or I just hope they don't offer one of our guys, while they're there, because he'll change uniforms immediately.
Hey, Coach, just to backtrack briefly on the Alabama A&M game, was it one of those gut-wrenching losses you've suffered, being that the game was just nip and tuck all the way with 8 different league changes?
I didn't see, you were breaking up a little bit. Can you say that again?
I said, was it one of the more gut-wrenching losses you've suffered since?
Oh, yeah, it was a hard loss. And, anytime you back and forth that way, and, they beat us up pretty bad at the spring. The strange thing about this game was the fact that we just played them 4 or 5 months earlier. And, we know them pretty well, and the same, of course, is the case, in their regard. But, it was a hard loss. And, we didn't quite do all of what we could do to give ourselves a chance to win the football game. We ended up kicking a couple of field goals. In one of these games, you got to almost match tit for tat, And we ended up kicking field goals in 2 instances where we had the ball down inside their 5-yard line on 1st and goal and didn't get it in. And I kind of blame myself for those particular situations. You can go back and look at some of the instances in a close games like this. It's almost sometimes better to get blown out than it is to say, if we had just done this or we had just done that. But you got to move on, Ty. These kinds of things will eat you up inside if you just continuously, rehash them in your mind and that kind of stuff. So we just got to move on.
Okay. Well, Coach, good luck this weekend when you take on the Tigers, and we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you.
All right, Mr. Hill.
Good morning, Coach Pugh. It's James Hill with BNC Sports.
Good morning, James. How are you?
Pretty good. Happy holiday. Can you talk a little bit about just the fact that South Carolina State University is one of the best HBCU football programs, and Clemson is one of the best Power Fives, and you two will meet on the gridiron?
Well, I appreciate you saying that about us, first off, and we hope to be that way year in and year out. Right now, the jury's still out as to what we are, but and maybe the jury's still out for what both of us are at this point, because they were so highly thought of as they, went into the game this past Saturday. And I'm sure they're awfully disappointed in the fact that, that they lost their game. And so are we. So, it's a little bit of both of us trying to find, our mojo, them, theirs, and us, ours. I'll be really, really interested to see, just how we match up our offensive front with that defensive front. We think that we may have one of the better young offensive fronts coming along that we've had in a while. And to see how they react to, the down, rough and tumble inside strength of this Clemson defensive front, is really going to be, a test for us in a way that, we'll get immediate feedback on whether or not, this is something that's possible for us or not. So I'm excited to be going in there playing these guys. I'm sure they're playing at home for the first time in a while. They've lost 2 in a row now. And, we think that we've got a chance to go in there and see if we can, kind of give them a little bit of a headache for a while.
Coach, fans across South Carolina are looking forward to this game because they get to see 2 schools from the area. Can you just share your thoughts on that?
Well, it's always fun for us, the smaller schools in the state, to get a chance to tangle with the big boys. Both Carolina and Clemson have been extremely good to us in the fact that, they give us a chance to come in and play. We just got to go in and make the best of it. What we've got to do is now actually, you grab this tiger by the tail, you got to actually play with it. You got to actually, do something with it. So, they say a dog chases a car, if he ever catches up to it, then what does he do? Well, we caught up with this tiger. Let's see, if we can knock him around a little bit, carve him up and get a little piece of tail or something that we can, bring home for a souvenir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, James.
All right, next, Mr. Perry Daniels.
Yes, good morning, Coach Pugh. I'd like to go back to last week's game. And if you could speak about Aqeel Glass and defending him and where he ranks amongst other HBCU quarterbacks?
Perry, we did play against Akil and his outfit last week. I don't know if I can speak to defending him. You know, he threw the football for 400 some odd yards against us, and they ran the football, you know, pretty effectively against. So the last thing that I can do is actually talking about how you stop him. I can tell you this, is that he's one of the top guys that we played against in my time here. And, you know, he's a quality player who can, you know, do a little bit of everything. So, you know, he's one of the top guys that we played against.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
All right, do we have any more questions for Coach Pugh? All right, Coach, thank you for your time today and good luck this
Thank you.
weekend.
Karen,
No.
you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you as well, Coach.
Mhm.
The South Carolina State Bulldogs will face the Clemson Tigers on Saturday. Kickoff from Memorial Stadium is set for 5 p.m. and the game can be seen live on the ACC network. Is Coach Odoms with us? Did he pop on while Coach Pugh was talking?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Morning, Coach. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great.
Awesome. Oh, give me 1 second here. Oh, so Coach, Saturday, Toledo jumped out to a big lead that the Spartans couldn't come back from. But despite the loss, were there any positives that you got from the season opener? Oh, wait, did we lose him? I think we may have lost him. Let's give him a second to reconnect here. All right, Coach, you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Sorry, the call had dropped.
Okay. Did you hear my question?
No, ma'am. Can you ask me again?
Okay. So I was saying, on Saturday, Toledo jumped out to a big lead that the Spartans just really couldn't come back from. But despite the loss, were there any positives that you got from the season opener?
A lot of positives. I thought offensively, we moved the ball. We made some plays. Really didn't had one interception. We protected the football. Defensively, we had a couple of third down stops, big fourth down stop. And we really just special teams. That's where 21 points was really the deciding factor. They blocked 2 punts, and then we had a kickoff return where we dropped the ball, gave them a short field. But I really thought offensively and defensively, we did some really good things. Got to shore up our punt team. Other special team phases, we were pretty good. Adjusting to the speed of the game took us a minute, especially going against a preseason conference champ. I think they were selected to win their conference, and they're a good football team. So right out of the bat, I thought it was 14-7. We had a chance with a kickoff to recover it and possibly change the momentum of the football game. But of course, they recovered it, and then they scored some points and put a couple of drives together. But big plays. I thought defensively, we give up too many big plays. And then offensively, we actually made some big plays. We had several runs, several passes that went for big yardage. But I really think that about the fourth game of this season, we're going to know a lot about this football team. But I really think we're a good football team, destined to get better each and every day.
Awesome. So which facet of your team surprised you the most from Saturday? Offense, defense, or special teams?
It really wasn't no surprise. I thought we executed our game plans. Just first game where you just had some bad fits on defense, maybe missed a cut with our vision, with our backs, just haven't had those kind of game reps. And you could tell is when you've been off and you play up, you're going to really see a difference in that layoff. And we had a chance to play up in talent, and they had played in the fall. And you can see it was a difference in the timing, and just adjusting. But I was happy for our guys. They were excited to be playing football. It was like surreal to them. It's been so long, but I really thought they responded, and we really made some great plays in that football game, but just didn't make enough.
Gotcha. Those are my questions for you, Coach. Do any media members have questions for Coach Odoms? Mr. Hill?
Good morning, Coach Odom. James Hill with BNC Sports. Can you just share your thought process on the fact that you've been able to play a mid-major and also you're going to play a Power 5 school, but just talk about building that foundation and just continuing to get better every day?
Well, that's the message to the team, is just find out what mistakes we made. Let's correct our mistakes. Let's find some solutions. Let's look at what we're doing. And the good thing about it is that we know going forward that we're not going to see two teams like the first two teams we play. We're seeing we're playing one of the top group of 6 schools, and of course we're playing a member of the ACC, which is Power 5. So you're getting a chance to play against some of the elite talent that's out there, and just having that chance to be on display and having that platform, I think we'll make significant strides going from game 1 to game 2. Now that our guys have been in the game, they know the game speed and the challenges that are presented when you're playing those Division I schools. I think it's a great challenge for us. I think it's a great opportunity. Wake Forest is a very good football team. They return a lot of seniors. Their quarterback is as advertised, and they're very good. They're very good, and it's going to be a great challenge. But we just want to see the Spartans get better in every phase of the game. And then we play the game in 4-minute increments, and we just want to keep getting better every 4 minutes. And then we can do those things. I think we'll look back and say, especially in the fourth quarter, where are we now? And then that's the whole key with these kind of games, is just get them to the fourth quarter and hope that you have a chance in those kind of football games. But even if you don't have a chance, you want to keep getting better. And I think that's the message to our players, is keep getting better one day at a time. Let's focus on us, and we know the opponent that we got to take on.
Coach, the good thing about it is, you have a roster with a lot of talent. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, and I think Toledo got a chance to witness some of that talent. I think they got a chance to see that we are a talented football team. It's just that, again, new staff, new team, new continuity, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And of course, we didn't get into May, so we're really doing this on the fly. But the number one ingredient is our discipline. I think we had 5 penalties, and that's something we've been harping on. And as we keep getting better, I think these guys are seeing that the process is paying off. And just to watch how they responded during the game when they got down, just listening to the leadership on the sideline, just those are the kind of little things that I think you can take out of games and be like, you're on the right track. And that's what we want to be. We want to be on the right track. And we know that it's a tough challenge to start the season, but we're up for the fight. We're up for the challenge. And I think these guys go come in here today ready to put this game behind us and get ready for the next one and see if we can keep getting a little bit better.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Miller.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, Mr. Miller.
Coach, you mentioned speed, you mentioned big plays, and Wake Forest, they came out the bat hitting Old Dominion with the 99-yard kickoff return. So how's your team guard against those big plays in this game against the Demon Deacons?
Well, I just think you got to be consistent in your execution. I think we have a plan, and we just got to execute it. I think our players got to lock in and just understand that we're going to do some things a little bit different than we did the previous week, and just making those adjustments and just locking in and executing. That's what it comes down to. We saw we're watching film and seeing some of the explosive plays that Wake Forest was able to make. And you can see that they're a talented football team. They have some individuals that are really, really good. And as an overall football team, they're fundamentally sound. And that's where you want to be. And that gives you a chance in any football game. And that's what we're trying to improve on this week. And hopefully we can limit some of the big play capability of an explosive team.
And Coach, can you elaborate more on your 4-minute increment theory as to how you play the game and how you manage the game?
Well, I always tell our players that the first 4 minutes is very crucial in a football game. We discussed the last 4 minutes of the first quarter and the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. We call that the middle 8. That's very crucial for us. And then we always talking about those first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter and the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. And that's usually what a lot of football games, momentum swings shift, momentum swings turn. And that's usually where a lot of football games are won, and, especially in this conference where you're probably going to play a lot of one possession games. I think if you look at the scoreboard from over the weekend, you got a chance to see a lot of one possession football games. And when you're in one possession football games, somewhere within those 4 minutes, something probably happened to turn the momentum or really change the fate of your outcome. And that's really what it's all about. It's just understanding how critical those minutes are. I think when you start a football game, you just said Wake Forest started with an explosive play right off the bat. Well, that's the first 4 minutes. So you try to make sure that you're locked in to not giving up explosive plays. And if you can usually survive the first 4 minutes of the first quarter, it gives you a chance to really lock your team in and play a really good first quarter. And those are some of the things that we talk about and just narrow our guys' focus, because it's a 60-minute battle, but it's a lot of increments within that football game that we try to focus on, just to narrow the focus of our players.
Good stuff, Coach. Thanks a lot and good luck this weekend.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Coach Odom? All right. Hearing none. Coach, good luck this weekend. Hope everything goes well.
Always a pleasure. Thank you all. Behold the green and gold.
Welcome. Norfolk State will travel to Winston-Salem, North Carolina this Saturday to face the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Kickoff is set for 12 noon, and the game can be seen live on the ACC network. All right, do we have a representative from Morgan State University on with us today?
Yes, you do.
Oh, hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm finding you.
Good. I heard you may not be coming, so I was prepared if somebody else showed up, but I'm glad to see that you're here with us.
Couldn't miss it. Couldn't miss it.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Bears had a tough time this Saturday against Towson. Despite the loss, what were some bright spots for the team?
Well, that's one of the first things I told the guys. You have to find a silver lining. One of the silver linings is that, we made some mistakes. And the great thing about football is you get a second chance. You get a do-over. As the golfers say, you get a mulligan. You get a chance to watch the film, because that's the eye in the sky doesn't lie. You get a chance to really sit down and be truthful with the guys. That game was a humbling experience for them. For some guys, they really thought that they were, the apples light. But you play another team, now all of a sudden they have to trust in what we're saying, right? You can't go out there and just throw caution in the wind and just say, I'm going to play and be athletically better than everyone. But when someone is playing with discipline and technique, you'll get beat every single time. And I think that's what showed for us on Saturday.
Good point. Morgan State will face Tulane on Saturday, and that game has been moved from New Orleans to Birmingham. Is the movement of the game going to give the Bears an advantage of any sort?
Right now, right now we're not trying to figure out advantages. Right now, we're just trying to figure out who are we, right? And within that thing, trying to look at other outside sources of advantages and what can help us. Right now, we can only help ourselves. And like I said earlier, it's just going back and the players trusting what the coaches say, trusting the technique that they're being taught, and playing within the system. Right there, that's our advantage. That will be our advantage. No matter where they play, they can play it in the parking lot. It doesn't make a difference, right? So, but just the guys going out and understanding what they have to do, no matter where we play the game.
Great. And then what are some specific keys to winning the game on Saturday?
Well, we had 10 penalties, right? We had 10 penalties for 84 yards. Absolutely can't have those. And a lot of those penalties were, I call it deer in the headlight penalties. Guys, like a couple of coaches said, not playing in a while, but that's not an excuse, right? You were taught, we did this muscle memory should have kicked in instead of the thought process kicking in. So got to cut down the penalties, right? We got to cut down the penalties. We could not put drives together. We needed to put some drives together. I think we had 29 minutes of time of possession. We got to increase our time of possession. We converted, I think, 4 of 14 on third down. Got to move the chains, which helps time of possession. So if we get the ball moving and we keep our defense off the field, which we have a pretty darn good defense, if we can keep them off the field and also keep this high-powered team. Now, that quarterback, Mr. Pratt, he's a really good one. Now he can run it. He can hurt you with his legs, and he has a couple of good receivers. Mr. Tyreek James, I think his name is, led the team in receiving. So if we can keep those guys off the field, kind of a chess match, right? You got to play defense through offense. So if we can do that and keep ourselves out of trouble with penalties, we'll be okay.
Awesome. Great, Coach. Those are my questions. Do any media members have questions for Coach? All right, Mr. Miller.
Hey, Coach Wheatley, good morning to you. How are you? Ty Miller
How
from
you
the
doing?
PBS Radio Network and Black College Football Weekly.
How you doing, Mr. Miller?
I'm good, Coach. You mentioned Tulane's offense, man. They have a lot of eye candy with the jet sweep and a lot of misdirection, and they ran down Oklahoma, basically. So in terms of assignment football for your players, how key will that be in terms of just hanging in this contest?
Oh, you said it, right? Keys. Just playing football. Can't rely just on physical talent. Now, physically, defensively, I think we're pretty darn good. But once again, if you're not reading your keys, you're not seeing what you're supposed to see, that eye candy will get you in trouble. But here's the deal. Well, like I just said, we have to really rely on who we are and what we are and just play our style of football, right? We're not looking at this thing as just trying to hang in there. We're trying to get ourselves better, and we're going to go in and play this game, and we're going to try to play it to win.
Coach, how key are these games in terms of preparing you for the MEAC season? Because realistically, there's a talent gap with these games. So in terms of preparing for the MEAC season and a run at the title, how key is the competition in this game for your players?
Well, that's a great question. A little loaded, but I'm gonna try and give you the short answer. People underestimate the MEAC. Yeah, there are some quote unquote talent, but I don't think that gap is big, as large as you think it is. You look at some of the players throughout this conference. We have some guys, and Coach Pugh said it the best. They're teams. If this conference wasn't as good as we were, teams wouldn't come down and poach our players, right? So the talent gap isn't as large. I think where you see the disparity is really up front in the front in terms of offensive line, defensive line. But at the skill position, I think we're just as comparable to some of these schools, right? But that does get to prepare for me. It does get to prepare for the MEAC, because, like we say, you go down there, you got to Coach Pugh, right? Got to go see Coach Odoms. I mean, so this conference is loaded, so it does help us. It does help us.
And Coach, I know they say a lot of teams make the biggest jump within the first 2 weeks of the season. What is the biggest improvement you're hoping that your team makes this week?
Well, limiting penalties, things that we can control, right? Limiting penalties. Like I said, I think we had 10 penalties for 84 yards. We can't have those. We open up the game with a holding and a clipping penalty, right? Things that you have that you could control. The next thing is we got to convert. Got to convert on third down. We have to put drives together. We must put drives together and keep the defense off the field. So if we could do that, those are the things that I'm looking for, and being able to just basically, like you talked about, get the jump and get the team rolling.
Coach, good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee.
Morning, Tyrone. I apologize if you answered this question already, but has there been any talk about if this game will be hosted at Tulane or elsewhere?
From right now, what I'm understanding, it's going to be in Birmingham. Game's been moved to Birmingham, 12 o'clock in Legion's Field.
What's your reaction to that decision?
It's out of my control, right? Prayers go out to the families, and they did it for a reason, and it's a reason. First of all, naturally, that's out of our control. health and safety, but at the same time, it's out of our control. So once again, just talking about the things that we can control and that's just playing football.
Does it require an adjustment on your part or the player's part in any way? Instead of going to Tulane, now you're going to Birmingham?
No, nope. It's a football field with lines and hash marks, field goals, and a locker room. Now, if the field wasn't 100 yards, 53, then we will have to adjust that way. But other than that, there should be no adjustments.
Thank you, Tyrone.
Mr. Hill?
Good morning, Coach. James Hill with BNC Sports.
How you doing, Mr. Hill?
Hey, pretty good. Your football club, can you talk about your team establishing the run? I know how important that is to you personally.
Well, absolutely. Townsend was pretty stout up front. But once again, we have to worry about the things that we can control. We had a couple of missteps up front, meaning backs didn't really hit the landmarks like they were supposed to. They got a little greedy. They saw an opening and took the wrong opening, right? So then up front, some of the guys just kind of threw technique, like we talked about, just threw it in the wind and just said, I'm going to go out and just try and beat the guy up. I showed a video clip of maybe rest in peace, Kimbo Slice, where in the street, he's a street fighter and he's beating up those guys. But once he went to the MMA, that street fighting stuff doesn't rule. Technique rules. Trust in what the coaches tell you. And so I think our guys just kind of went out there, got caught up in too much of the hype of Townsend versus Morgan versus the Battle of Baltimore. And they got caught up and they wanted to make it into a street fight. And we got beat, right? We got beat because we didn't hold true to our technique. So establishing the run game is going to be very vital for us. Very vital.
Coach, you just alluded to it, but when you face a team that has been through adversity, and obviously Tulane has had a challenging last few weeks, so to speak, do you just focus on that football game, or do you talked about just playing within the field? Just talk about going in there and what the mentality will be going into Birmingham.
Well, basically the challenge is going to be the team, Tulane, right? They have speed. So you transition from last week from playing a team that's going to come at you, run downhill, play action past you, to now where you got guys that can run like rabbits and they're going all over the place, a quarterback that can hurt you from the air and with his legs. So now you have to transition. But basically, once again, it's just getting back in, locking in, putting the blinders on and playing within your keys, right? When you see a little, you see a lot, as opposed to trying to take it all in and you miss everything, okay? So we just have to reverse that mindset and saying you see a little, you see a lot, pay attention to your keys and just play football.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Mr. Marshall?
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good. You alluded to earlier how you thought how strong the MEAC was in your appraisal of the conference. What do you make of comments over the weekend by Deion Sanders suggesting that the MEAC and the SWAC form a super conference?
Oh, me personally, I think it's a great idea, right? I think it's a great idea, but at the end of the day, that's not what my thought process is. That's not my job title to think about, the conferences joining together. Right now, my thought process and heart right now is Tulane. But when I think about the MEAC, I love this conference. I love coaching against the guys, and they're a great group of guys. The coaches I'm talking about that are fielding great teams, that are putting guys in position to change their lives. So, I think it's a great idea, but at the same time, I'm worried about the MEAC, making the MEAC stronger by getting my team better, right? That's the only way I can help the MEAC. So just with that being said, worried about Tulane right now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Lee, did you have a second question?
No, I did not.
Okay. Any other questions for Coach Wheatley? All right, well, Coach, good luck this weekend and safe travels.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Morgan State will travel to Birmingham, Alabama on Saturday to face the Green Wave of Tulane. Kickoff from Legion Field would be at 1 p.m. Eastern, and the game will be broadcast live on ESPN+. And that is it for today, folks. Thank you for joining us for our weekly head football coaches video conference. Before we end the call, I want to thank all of our media members for showing up today. Can't do this without you. And thank you to our sports information directors from our conference schools for their assistance today. And finally, the MEAC would like to thank its corporate sponsors for their support. The next call will be Monday, September 13th, beginning at 10 a.m. As always, for up-to-date news on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, log on to meacsports.com. Like the MEAC on Facebook and follow MEAC Sports on Twitter and Instagram. And subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. Once again, thank you for joining us today and have a great football week. Take care.